Hi, I'm Zach Smith. Can you guys hear me all right? Yes. Okay, great. So I love making things. It's the thing that probably brings me the most happiness in life, and I just want to share that with you guys today. So I make robots, but I make robots that make things. So it's kind of a double bonus there. So like I said, I'm a maker. I love making things. This is something I made when I was learning electronics. There's this great open source hardware project called Arduino, and I made a thing that plugs into it that let me play around with sliders and LEDs and buttons and lights. And then I shared it with the rest of the world. And like you can download all the plans for this and all that good stuff. So, and it was just something that I did over a few weeks, and it was just really fun to make it and then create this design and send it off, and a week later get PCBs that were manufactured and then like melt liquid metal and put it all together, and then it made noises and blinked and stuff. It was great. So I'm one of those jerks who really loves this job and has kind of found what he loves to do in life. But I hope that everybody can be like that someday, because it's really nice to wake up in the morning and be like, yes, I get to do this. Not all mornings are like that, though. So like I said, I make things. In particular, the thing that I love making right now is a company called MakerBot. Started it with two of my friends, and we make these guys right here. They're 3D printers. So we make open source, which means we share all the plans, all the details, everything. You can take it, make your own, modify it. But these are 3D printers. So what that means is it's a machine that you give a design, like a digital file, and then it makes it out of plastic. And I've just been making things for a long time, and this is kind of the way to enable other people to make things as well, because if you have a 3D printer, the number of skills you need to actually make something just drops dramatically, and it just opens the door for all sorts of other cool things. And I really believe that we're all makers. You know, humans in general are, one of the things that defines us is being a tool-using species. We take the world around us, we mix it up and change it and make it into something that we want. And I think tool using is really tool making, which is really just making. So in this picture, you got a far side, you got like the dude's burning his hand, and then the other guy's using a stick. So let's see. So for me, making is taking the world around you and turning it into something new, or turning it into something different. And in order to do that, in order to like really be good at making, first you have to understand it. You have to understand, you know, for carving sticks, you need to understand, you know, how the grain of the wood works and how you can cut effectively, or use drill presses and lathes and all that stuff like that. To do electronics, you need to understand physics and electrons and all that. And so, you know, what happens as you do this is you start to see the world around you in a much different light. And I think that just kind of naturally brings you into better balance with the world, because you understand it. So you can work with it better. And so here's like half of this presentation is just stuff that other people have made that I think is really awesome. Because what we do is we empower people to make the things that are in their head that they want, that don't exist. So this is an automatic cat feeder. And so we run this website called thingiverse.com, and there's this community of designers and makers and creators. And what they do is they'll design these things, and they'll share the files that they've created in order to 3D print it. And all the red bits here are plastic, and you know, there's a lot of stuff on the inside you can't see here, like an auger and all that stuff. And so anybody else that has a robot can just follow the instructions, download the files, click print, and have your own automatic cat feeder. And you know, like this is such a small application, but for this one person, that's what they really wanted. They wanted to, you know, have a robot to feed their cat. And you know, I just think that's beautiful. Like this thing, just I look at that and it makes me smile. So my small do for you guys is to make something and just try it. Get the experience of creating something new. Because when you create something, you feel good about it. You look at something and you say, man, I made this. Before I got into robotics, I was a web developer. And that is really fun and awesome, and there's an element of making in there. But the thing that left me a little bit unsatisfied in that field of work is that at the end of the day, I hadn't really created anything. If the power went off or the internet went down, I had nothing to show for it. But if you make something physical, there's no power going out with something that you've actually physically made. And so also when you have something that you've made, you can give it to someone else. And for me, I love doing that, especially with 3D printing, because it's really cheap to make things. So you can make something that's just cool and gorgeous and give it away, and someone says, oh wow, thanks a bunch for giving me this thing. And usually I try not to emphasize how cheap and easy it was to make, because that kind of lessens the effect of oh sweet, thank you. But it gives you a warm feeling as well by sharing and giving this thing to someone. And I also think that making is best when done with friends and family. I really got involved and hooked in this whole maker movement by joining a hackerspace in New York, which is sort of like an art collective for nerds. It's a bunch of engineers and just everybody really that has an interest in building and making things. So here's an example of making something collaboratively. Oh, the black doesn't really come out very well. But basically this is a 3D printed bottle opener. There's a bunch of holes that go all along here. And because the plastic's not strong enough, we just stick a penny in there. And the penny is the part that grabs the bottle top and allows you to open it. But this design is interesting because I created this original one. It was just this giant, clunky, horrible, horrible thing to behold. And I tried it, and it used a quarter. And so I made a second one like a month later and made it a little bit smaller and more streamlined. And that one used a penny. So I dropped the price radically on this bottle opener. And I put these on the internet. So all of these things that we do, we put up for free, we share. Anybody can get the design and do what they want with it. And then so one of my friends took it, and he smoothed it out, and he's a much better 3D modeler than I am. And so that got really nice. Added a little hole to put it on a keychain. And then this one is like the 4th generation. Someone else on the internet just took it and said, oh man, I have a great idea for how to make this bottle opener even better. And so it's this sharing collaborative thing that has allowed us to have something simple like a bottle opener. But later on I'll show some more examples of just these really complex projects that people have come together to build, and it's just all shared for free on the internet. And I think that's really awesome. So this is a bottle opener from the internet that the internet created. So my big do is I love the idea of making things and empowering people to make things, but there's a lot of barriers to that. And so my ultimate hope and dream is to go directly from having an idea to having the object made. And this requires better tools than we currently have, but we're really, really close. The world of digital fabrication, which is taking a 3D model or design and automatically making it real in the world, is the technology's come a long, long way. And it's getting, and more important than having good technology is it's becoming more accessible. It used to be just super, super expensive, but these days you can get access to some really, really awesome things for not that much money. And by going directly from idea to object, I am talking about Star Trek type replicator, press a button and it makes you something crazy. So that's the future that we're talking about. So here's a UFO. And this kind of fits in with the going from idea to object thing. We're doing this, we have this collaboration going on with our friend where, and I think GE is involved or something, but people submit ideas for things that they would want to see. And this guy's a 3D modeler, and we gave him as much plastic and MakerBots as he could use, and people submit ideas, and then he'll make them and post them online for everybody. So it's this really cool idea, this cool setup of going from hey, Jean, I have this idea, like make me a UFO. And then he'll make it and put it in this nice little scene like that. So let's see. So living in the future. I love living in the future. It's a great place to be. We have all sorts of super cool stuff. So everyone here right now, check your pockets. It's probably in your pocket. You have an equivalent of a 1960s supercomputer. You have a photo lab. You have a global communications device. You can get in contact with anybody in the world that also has one. And back at home, you probably have a printing press. So these are all things that were just, unimaginable 100 years ago. So, why not have your own factory as well? And that's kind of where we're working for, is you can have a device that will just make you whatever you can dream up. Like a Mars rover. One of our users said, you know what, I love the Mars rover, but I want one, and nobody's providing them for me. So, I went online and got a bunch of pictures of it and designed one, and it's really fun. I mean, it's just a toy, but it's like fully articulated, and of course this is another one of those things where he took all his designs and all his hard work and he shared it with the internet. And because the machine does all of the hard work of actually making the item, the work that you put into designing it can be, done again and again and again by the robot, but you don't have to do any more work after that. So there's this huge incentive to share it for free, because the sharing takes just a little bit more effort, and then the whole world can have it. And you don't lose anything when you do that, which is really nice. So like I said before, the cost of digital fabrication is just dropping like a rock. You can make pretty much anything you want for very little now. The kinds of things that you can do with $500 or $1,000 today are just amazing compared to like 10 or 15 years ago. You now can have printed circuit boards that with just crazy resolution made for under $100. You can get access to laser cutters, CNC machines, water jet cutters, 3D printers. There's all sorts of services online where you can send them a file and then they'll mail you back stuff that is exactly what you had specified. And that just didn't exist 10 years ago. And what we're seeing is this, I don't think renaissance is the right word, but there's just this upwelling of creative people that didn't have access to the tools before, being able to make their ideas into reality. And of course, it's getting cheaper all the time. And that makes it more accessible. Because really, the accessibility is not about being able to go physically access it. It's about being able to afford it. And and that's really what allows people to do things. So I threw out a couple words and phrases there, like laser cutting, 3D printing, and some other stuff. So I just want to quickly explain them. Laser cutting is awesome, and it has changed my life. Literally changed my life, because MakerBot was made on a laser cutter, and it's really sweet. This is like a laser cut piece of wood, and basically you take a frickin' laser, and then it's really strong. It's strong enough to vaporize the material that you shine it at, and then you move that laser around, and it creates the design. So if you shine it really brightly, you can etch. If you shine it even more bright, then it will cut. And the awesome thing about laser cutting is that if you're a designer, it's like the perfect tool for you, because the way it works, the way you use one, is you plug it in via USB, and it shows up as a printer. And you open your Illustrator file, and you hit print, and then wherever you have lines, it cuts on those lines. And wherever you have lines of a different color, it will etch them. So it's like you don't even have to learn anything new to get involved with laser cutting. And so which is really cool. My personal favorite is 3D printing. This is just such a fun technology because you can create so many different varied forms. And one of the most common question I get is like, well, what would I make with a 3D printer? And it's like, well, you live in a 3D world. What do you want? There's so many different things that you could use it for. This one is kind of my current favorite. This was uploaded like, I don't know, all of this stuff was within the past month or two. So I kind of was like, let's grab all the latest and greatest things and show them off. These are turtle shell racers from like Super Mario Kart. And one of our users said, you know what, wouldn't the world be great if you could like physically shoot a shell at someone instead of playing a video game? These are from Mario Brothers. I don't know if that's a common thing or not, but so they're like a little RC car, and you can drive these things around, and it just is, you know, if you've ever played Mario Kart, it's just, man, it's really fun. But with 3D printing, you can make three-dimensional objects out of plastic, metal, ceramics. The machines go all the way up to, you know, like $500,000 machines that do just crazy things. We make MakerBots for just a tiny fraction of that cost, and they print with plastic. 3D scanning is super cool. It is a natural complement to 3D printing. I like to think of it as the washer-dryer combo of digital fabrication. So, you know, this one is a completely open source DIY project, and it's got a little laser there. You can see the laser line on the gnome, and it's a turntable, and it'll rotate it, and there's a webcam right here that will take a picture of it. And from the side, that flat laser line turns into a profile. And using crazy math, you can turn that into a 3D model, and what you can do is you can scan something in the real world, get a model of it, and then print out copies or do whatever you would want with it. It's really awesome because someday people are going to be pirating physical things, and I just can't wait for that. Okay, so, you know, what's the big deal with digital fabrication? Okay, it's another way to make things. Well, it's not just another way to make things. It really changes kind of the nature of making. So I'm probably going to have to breeze through these, but if you want to like get into deep philosophical conversations, I would love that. So first of all, objects become software. So if I want to share this thing with someone in the front row here, you know, I would lose it and I wouldn't have any more. But if I have the digital model of it, I can give it to you, and then I still have this, but you have it as well. So it makes an object into more than just one physical instance of it. You can have truly open source hardware. So we have open source software, which is great because all these people contribute to it. There's a lot of open source hardware that's happening, but you know, right now you still have to buy the object from someone. If you have your own machine, you can just download it and print one off. You can just customize the crap out of stuff. People have been scanning heads and stuff and then putting them on all sorts of things. Consumers become producers. You have the means of production in your own house, and you make whatever you need. And also, the concept of impossible goes up a few notches. So what was considered impossible a few years ago or 10 years ago, now, you know, it becomes mundane. And it's like, all right, well, what's the next impossible thing? What are we going to do next? Here's just something that I think is awesome. This is cube gears. So it's a cube, and someone attached a motor to it, but you drive the middle one, and they all rotate. And this is just like, I wouldn't buy this, but man, like having a 3D printer, you can just click a button and then you have this. So it's just, I don't know, it's so cool. And this is, someone just made this and uploaded it for free to the internet. What a great place. A fly swatter, here's like a nice practical thing. Nobody likes flies. Some pliers, here, another sort of useful, practical thing. You know, you're probably not gonna do some heavy-duty stuff, but if you just need a small set, you might want to print these out. Here's a BIPED robot, so it's like a humanoid robot thing. And once again, all these things are just completely free, shared from the goodness of people's hearts. And actually, I think that's our motivation. I'm not really sure. But let's see. Replacement knobs. If I've heard of people whose like knob on their dishwasher broke, and they, you know, it's a 10-year-old dishwasher, and they go into the shop and they say, I'd like a knob for this model 10 years ago. Say, oh, we don't do that anymore. That's 10 years ago. What are you thinking? But we'll sell you a new one. How about that? And you know, all you need is a new knob, so you can print out a new one and keep using the same dishwasher. Pulleys and tackle. I don't know what, you know. I grew up in Iowa where boats are like a myth. But I'm sure someone somewhere has a use for this. Here's a model of a motor, a THUNDERCAT sword. This is a full-size one too. You print it in parts and like it snaps together, and then you have your own, Thundercat sword. NYANCAT, HAIRCLIP. Anybody from the internet? Yeah. Thanks. That's about it. This is a life-size hand. It's pretty fun. If you want to come get involved and make stuff, hit up thingiverse.com. It's where all these people are sharing stuff. MakerBot.com is where you can get your own 3D printer, or check out your own local hackerspace. They're all over the world, and the people there are doing really, really cool things, and I found them to just be very nice. So, thank you.